videos. You're a Muslim, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to ask you, why do you think Islam is the right religion, without much evidence? Because at the end of the day, if you're very honest with each other, it's just text. These texts make claims about certain things. Why do you think God would even resort to communicating with text? And why do you think 400, 1800 years ago, whatever? There's so much weakness in it, and yet you believe it is God and all the rest of it. It's really simple.
I'm Shabir. You are?
I'm Alex.
Alex. I don't view it that way. Number one, as I'm sure if you've seen the videos, I don't subscribe to the word religion.
Okay.
Yeah, because it does cocoon you into a particular way of thinking. In terms of belief, again, the word belief, I'm very suspect with. So I avoid using it. Okay. Now, insofar as what makes Islam the truth, we have to act, or rather, we have to start with a presupposition. The presupposition being that there is a creator.
Right.
Yeah? We have to presuppose.
Okay, we can assume that.
Yeah.
Let's assume that.
If we assume that, well, then there has to be a logical train of thought to a conclusion.
Okay.
Yeah? If we are going to consider this as text only, then, okay, we are leaving ourselves open to the idea or the choice of having a multitude of methods of communication.
Yes.
Are we okay with that?
Yes.
If that is, yeah.
In terms of being convinced, in terms of making observation and come to realization of some form of truth, we need a level of convincing, right? So it has to be evident itself. So a lot of things on the planet, when we experience or when we observe, we know it's true. There's no debate about it. And I think the belief obviously is a bad word, but I think for the time being we believe for certain things to be. But when it comes to religion, organized religion, at least the Abrahamic religions, you have to follow the text. You have to believe in what the text says without any evidence, without any. And I don't like the premise that you go by this idea that the Quran made prediction and it became true. I mean, Nostradamus made predictions.
Right.
There are so many other people that make predictions. That's just for me. It's just not strong
Alex,
enough.
I would kindly suggest that.
Remember, I told you Shabir is him.
Alex, I would kindly suggest that you are following a standard narrative.
Yeah.
I don't look at it that
Why would I
way.
have to deviate from that?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because number one, you used a few words which ourselves we have not clearly defined.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you said we look at some things that we have considered and we found them to be truth. Yeah. Now, to me,
truth is a big word itself.
Exactly.
I
would say
to be convinced of what we actually.
But for that to happen, Alex, and you are absolutely correct. I agree with you. Yeah. For that to happen, you have to start off with a 0 point, which tells you how you are going to distinguish between what is true and what is false.
Okay, good point.
I call it a criteria.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What would it be?
Based on that, in terms of distinguishing, what is truth, I think in our current realm, with respect to every experience we have evidence for things, we experiment with things, we observe things. Like in reality, we can see it, for example, right? Or we can feel it, or we can hear it. Now, when it comes to the text, trying to reconcile that with this methodology, it becomes very difficult.
Why?
Because we have to just rely on the text. The text has this narrative, and the only other thing we can reconcile to is some sort of predictions that were made, or whether it does it make sense? Yeah, maybe it makes sense, but that's not evidencing it.
Right.
The content
I see.
Not reconciling to the methodology.
I see what you are saying. But now you have mentioned the word twice. What methodology are you applying?
So So the methodology of experiencing life, right?
Experience is subjective.
It is subjective.
So what is the method? It has to be objective.
It is subjective, but I mean, all experiences of life from our own individual perspective is subjective, right? But there is a degree to which we can agree on. For example, is there like a road there with cars? Yes.
Sorry, Alex. If we can subjectively agree, then collectively, collectively worldwide, are there more who believe in a creator or not?
Yes. If we
So
can-
you accept there is a creator?
on
on that basis?
I'm not disputing that. I mean, not
No,
not
I'm
just on
taking the
basis.
logical train.
Yeah,
So do you accept that?
that if we
Now I'm using your criteria, remember.
that if we make subjective experiences that we mostly agree on,
Collectively, yes.
I do.
Okay, you do. So if we were all collectively to accept that rape is acceptable, do you agree?
Okay, I don't think that's the same thing. I think we can. I think that no. You're going.
So,
to a
sorry,
second-
Alex. Sorry.
No.
No,
hold on,
I'm not.
one moment,
I'm going to cut you.
You're getting.
I'm
you're-
going
no,
according
no.
to your criteria, Alex.
I know, and I'm responding.
Collectively, do you agree that
And I'm
if we
responding.
accept
And
rape
I'm
to be
responding.
normal,
And I'm
you
responding.
accept?
And I'm
Go ahead.
responding. I think we can agree. Does it happen? Whether it's right or wrong, you're going into the realms of morality and justice,
1 second.
which I think can
Yeah.
differ.
Excellent,
The
Alex.
observation point, I think we all can agree on.
Alex, you see, we are already working from a predefined point of thinking that rape is wrong. That is why you are talking about morality and justice.
Because you're expecting people to say your answer wasn't we can all agree that it occurs. Your response was we can accept it is okay.
You see, Alex,
Now that okay,
Yeah.
you're deviating from the exercise we've had.
excellent, Alex. The problem with what you just said is that it is 2 steps forward.
Yes,
What
but it
we,
takes a step
what
back.
we, yeah, if you take a step back, you will see what I'm saying. What we said from your criteria
Yes.
is that if collectively subjective experience allows us to accept a particular thing,
Happens.
then it is true. So I asked you,
If it occurs, if it happens.
no, we didn't say if it occurs.
You're saying
We
it's
said,
okay to happen.
now can you see the importance of using the appropriate wording here?
Yes,
So
I
if
see
I
that.
were to say to you, Alex, now, look, what you are in effect saying to me is that this collective, subjective experiences collected cannot be used as a criteria to determine
No, it can.
what can be, if I can just finish, what can be factual rather than what is true.
No, I disagree with that.
Please tell me why.
When we talk about what is factual in the case of something occurring,
Uh-huh.
I think you cannot dispute that is a fact.
Okay, so
For example,
yeah.
if we all agree that there is a bus just riding down the road,
Yeah.
making the observation, I think we can all agree that it is the case.
Okay.
But if you tell me whether it's pretty or whether it's warm, whether it looks good inside
Yeah,
of
yeah.
it, that's subjective.
That's a
second
different
level.
issue. Yes. Okay.
So I think we
I
can
see.
subjectively issue.
But if I take your reasoning again forward, are you going to agree with me that prior to the 1900s, worldwide, for whatever worldwide meant,
Yeah.
it was accepted or assumed as fact that the universe never had a beginning?
Yes, because they didn't have sufficient
Now, was that a fact or was that true?
I don't think that was a fact because they didn't have the information.
But then it couldn't have been true either.
But
So
but
which
this
one was
again,
it?
This again is lack of information, so they could not make it.
Now,
correct judgment.
excellent. You see, if it is a lack of information, yeah, on what basis are you going to be able to dismiss some text on the basis of information that is
Absolutely fine.
not
And on
fully
the same basis-
available?
And on the same basis, you can reject it.
But absolutely, I agree. But to reject it, you would have to have had to consider the necessary evidence, and this evidence totally and directly conflicts for you to be able to reject.
I don't
Okay,
think so,
let me
because-
give you an example.
Because right now, my choice isn't just rejection; it could also be other forms of belief systems. So the case in point then is
Yeah, sure.
the path of Abrahamic religions, the
Now-
path of the Hindus, or
Yeah.
the Taoists,
Yeah.
of the Eastern Asia. So
Sorry, can I just say, Alex, you've used the term, the phrase rather, Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The kind of organized religions of the Middle East.
And who talked about organized religion?
I have.
Okay,
I-
so are you setting a standard which everything has to fit into?
No, it's not.
Excellent.
I'm not doing it.
So let's go with what the evidence
What I'm
says.
saying,
Yeah.
saying is, you're putting me into this position where the burden is on me of accepting. Otherwise, until I
Not
can
at
prove
all.
wrong.
If you-
which I'm countering that
Sure.
by saying not only that I can actually reject it, but I can also tell you that there are other alternative religions. Therefore,
Right.
you have to then weigh
Now,
a balance of.
excellent. I can see your point. My view is somewhat different.
Okay.
You see, when you talk about religions, as I said, I already keep the word religion aside for a very good reason, okay? If I were to say, yeah, and this is what my logic is telling me, yeah? If I were to say that they are conflicting methods, yeah, of trying to arrive at a certain fact or truth, then logic would dictate to us that we need to investigate these various belief systems to establish whether they are going to take us to the right destination, whatever that may be. Do we agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. In order to establish whether one can be dismissed or one can be accepted, one necessarily would need to delve into those particular religions and try and establish why we would dismiss them or why we would accept them. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Now you at the
My contentions are very basic, by the way.
I can see. Yeah.
And it's funny because we talk about divulging deep, but the fact that, you know, we talked about earlier how some of these religions were spread across the world.
Sorry?
How these religions were spread across the world.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
In what language and
Yes.
to what people. So we don't even need to divulge deep into any of them.
Well,
We could look at some of the laws.
Yes.
We can look at the timing of how
Yes.
how they were, you know, distributed. So you know,
Yeah.
these
No,
things-
I can see what you mean. But you see, if I were to take a basic understanding, okay, and somebody asks me, just like this, yeah, somebody asks me, was the universe forever?
Right.
And I simplistically said yes. Would that be valid?
If it's correct, yes.
And how do I know if it's correct?
If you know it's correct.
How would I know?
Well, if you don't know, then you should say you don't know.
Do you know
Here's the
everything?
thing, what I'm
Right, one
saying-
second,
what
Alex.
I'm saying is
Just stop there, stop
if
there.
the
I'm
basics- if the
sorry,
basic
Alex, if I can just, from what you have just said, have you studied Islam to that extent to be able to dismiss it?
I don't think. So
It's a
my
yes
point.
or a no one here.
No, I haven't.
You haven't. Okay,
But
let's
I
take
don't
it.
believe you need to study the whole thing.
But here's the problem. The word belief is causing a bit of difficulty
I don't
here.
think you need to know the entire in its entirety.
Right,
If the
excellent.
Basics, for example, if
Okay.
the basic foundations
Yeah.
don't add up, then anything above, it doesn't really reconcile to
Agreed.
be correct.
Agreed. But
So,
yeah.
you have to,
Sorry, Alex.
It's just
Yeah.
a mathematical step by step. You
Right.
know, if the first, you get the first part wrong, it doesn't really matter what you end up with.
Right, excellent. Okay. So if you were to look at the foundations,
Yeah.
what is it you're finding wrong?
So the fact that it was firstly revealed to a certain group of people in the Middle East in one language, whereas there were many people around the world that we talked about earlier, such as people in South America or Fiji Islands or China. Why was not God consistent in giving everyone a message? The response to that is often God has given prophets across the world. That's number one. The issue I have with that is most of the messages this prophet gave do not reconcile to Islam. They disagree with each other, and hence why we have conflicts when, after centuries, they recognize one another. They get to the borders and they say, "Oh, there's another religion." They have conflicts. Secondly, there is a belief that God has left them to be. If they are not aware of Islam, God will judge them by their own belief and fitrah or whatever. Yeah. Well, that doesn't reconcile to the entirety of Islam, because if it is the fact that God has the capacity to judge you based on your own morality, your own nature, then surely that should apply to everyone.
Right.
But then there is a conflict.
Right.
So these two conflicts
Right. Can
cannot
we?
accept.
Right. Excellent. Can we just deal with those two?
Yes.
Number one, you are talking about right across the board, there were people who had different religions. The contention being made is that they were all sent prophets anyway.
May have.
Okay. But the main objection you have is that why was it given to a particular individual or a group of individuals in one language?
Well, and
That's-
only a small part of that world where it could have easily been given to everyone across the world.
But here is a problem then. If I were to say to you, right now we are in the United Kingdom,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?
We are talking about,
Islam.
yes.
Where did it originate?
Well, this happened many years after time, immigration and all the rest of it.
But has it got to a stage where me and you are talking about it?
Yes, but what happened
If
to
I
all
can
the
just-
millions of people that lived here?
Excellent.
Are they irrelevant?
Excellent. But here is the problem. You see, if I were to say to you, and it's quite logical,
I'm having fun so far.
if you have got one source one source, and that source provides the necessary guidance. And in the interim, because we are living in a physical realm, things change. If a message was given, that message potentially was perhaps forgotten or perhaps distorted. Okay? Logic would dictate to me, and I want you to tell me whether you disagree. Logic then would dictate to me that the ultimate yardsticks to be able to determine what was and what wasn't necessarily true ought to have been provided at the end. Why? So that you are able to check back to determine whether something is or was true. Now, if I can just...
What I find unacceptable, it's not this. What I find acceptable in the interim,
Yes.
whether people have gone wrong or not, in certain parts of the world, they didn't even had Christianity, for example.
Excellent.
What
Excellent,
I have
yeah.
a problem is that in the interim,
Right.
many people didn't have a guide, full stop.
Oh, right.
And I don't accept that God just
But Alex,
forgave them and
yeah.
judged them by just their own nature. Because if that's the case, that actually does not reconcile to what the Quran teaches.
But respect, yeah, I see what you mean. But respectfully, Alex, I would suggest that there is a bit of, how can I put it, a bit of information gathering required here. So if I were to ask you, this is quite common and it is used quite often. The ones that are considered to be the most, without wanting to be offensive, yes, we call those group of people aborigines.
Right.
Where? In what we call Australia today. The word aborigine means before man, which is highly offensive. However,
But I'm sorry.
If I can
I'm sorry. In my book, any God that would make such a distinction is not my God.
Alex, you are shutting
Simple
off.
as that.
You are not listening to what I'm saying. Who made this distinction of aborigines?
You have.
No,
I didn't.
the dictionaries.
I don't accept that.
No, no problem. I agree. Now,
Hey, how you doing?
yeah. Now the question is, those groups of people were defined as pre-human, but they are still there.
Yes.
Highly intelligent, just like us, but they are. They had a system of where they said anything that is considered to be a creator would be one without the alimentary canal.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to look at what you call different religions and delve into them, you find pretty much every one across the board has got a standard understanding of what a creator
But it's
is.
not Islam.
No, I'm not saying that yet. We haven't got to that stage. Yeah? So, the issue here is this, that have you... Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. How are you? Alhamdulillah,
How's
you're right?
everything?
Tik-tak, you okay? Yeah?
I'm Fal Halbishi.
Oh, how are you? I must apologize, Alex. Apologies. Just give me 2 minutes, Sheikh.